Have you ever felt lost? Like you're walking in circles, not knowing where to go or what to do next? Maybe you've made some choices in life that, looking back, you wish you could undo. Maybe right now, you're asking yourself, how did I get here? And how do I get out of this? Well, you're not alone. All of us at some point feel that way. It's like we're carrying a huge weight, as if we're walking on an endless road with no direction. And the more we try to find a way out, the more confused we get. But hey, there's good news. There's a way back. Today, we're going to talk about a story you might already know, but one that carries a powerful message for when we feel lost. It's the story of a young man who, like many of us, decided to go his own way, but ended up straying from everything that mattered. And in the midst of that journey, he discovered something that completely changed his life. If you're feeling that way, aimless, full of doubts, or even thinking there's no way out, I want you to stay with me, because this story will show you that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And even more importantly, it will remind you that God has never, ever given up on you. He's waiting with open arms, ready to guide you back to the right path. So let's go on this journey together, because today is the day to leave behind the feeling of being lost and find our way back home. But first, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because the next videos will be a series of content that will help you strengthen your faith even more and bless your life. Remember that time when you felt like you needed to do something different, like the world was calling you away, promising adventure, freedom, and happiness? That's exactly how the young man, known as the prodigal son, felt. He was the youngest son of a wealthy family, lived comfortably, had everything he needed, but still, something inside him drove him to seek more. He looked around and saw a predictable life, full of rules and responsibilities. So he made a decision that would change his life. He asked his father for his share of the inheritance. Now, think about what that means. Asking for your inheritance while your father is still alive is like saying, "Dad, I don't need you. I want to live my own way, without anyone telling me what to do." And that's exactly what he did. With the money in hand, he left for a distant land, far from everything and everyone he knew. At first, everything seemed amazing. The freedom, the excitement of being in a new place, surrounded by people who just wanted to have fun. He spent his money without thinking, enjoying every moment, not worrying about tomorrow. But, like everything in life, this lifestyle had a price, and he paid dearly for it. The money ran out, and with it, all the friends who were around him. The party was over, and the young man, who was once the center of attention, was now alone, penniless, in a land where no one cared about him. To survive, he accepted a job taking care of pigs, which for someone of his culture was the most humiliating job imaginable. He was so hungry that he envied the pigs' food, but he couldn't even eat that. And it was there, in that moment of total despair, that he realized how lost he was, not only physically, in a strange land, but internally, distant from who he really was. His choices had led him to a place of pain, loneliness, and humiliation. He realized that in trying to run away from home, he had ended up running away from himself. But as we'll see next, this is not the end of the story, because sometimes you have to get completely lost to find the true way back. If you're enjoying this content, hit the like button. It's really important, so YouTube keeps showing you our videos, and that way we can keep helping you. So go ahead and leave a like on this video. It's free all right? In that moment of deep desolation, when the young man was at rock bottom, something began to change inside him. He was no longer the same arrogant boy who left home thinking he knew everything. Hunger and loneliness opened his eyes to the harsh reality of his choices. And for the first time, he began to remember home, the loving father he had left behind, and how even his father's servants lived much better than he did now. These memories brought a mixture of regret and hope. He knew he had failed, that he had wasted everything he had, but he also knew he needed to do something. He couldn't continue in that state of misery. It was then that he made the most difficult and courageous decision of his life, to go back home. But how could he face his father after everything? With shame and fear, he began to rehearse what he would say. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants." This journey back was not just a physical one. Every step he took towards his home was also a step towards repentance and humility. He was shedding all pride, acknowledging that he had made mistakes, and willing to accept the consequences of his actions. More than seeking shelter, he was seeking redemption, a new beginning, even if it meant living as a simple servant in the house that was once his. And so, with a heavy heart but determined, he continued on his way. Little did he know that this return would be much more than he imagined. Because, as he would soon discover, when you take the first step towards God, He runs to meet you, ready to restore you, and give you much more than you could ask for. When the young man finally saw his house in the distance, his heart beat faster. He didn't know what to expect. Maybe his father wouldn't want to see him anymore. Maybe he would kick him out. But still, he continued, carrying the guilt and regret with every step. And it was at that moment, while he was still a long way off, that something extraordinary happened. His father, who every day looked towards the horizon hoping to see his son again, spotted him. And without a second thought, he ran towards his son. Now, imagine the impact of that. A father, a respected man, running with all his might, not caring who was watching, not worrying about anything except embracing the one he thought he had lost forever. The son, astonished, barely had time to say the words he had rehearsed. Before he could finish, his father was already embracing him tightly, as if to make up for all the lost time. There was no blame, no reproach, only pure and unconditional love. A love that didn't care about the past, but celebrated the present. The son was back. And the father didn't stop there. He ordered the servants to bring the best robe, put a ring on his finger, and sandals on his feet, symbols that he was not only accepted back, but restored to his position as a son. And what's more, he prepared a great feast to celebrate the return of the one who was lost, but had now been found. This is the perfect image of God's love for us. It doesn't matter how far we stray or how low we fall. When we decide to return, God not only accepts us back, but embraces us with all His love, celebrates our return, and restores us completely. It's a love that knows no bounds, that holds no grudges, and that always waits for us with open arms. A love that transforms our return into a true new beginning, full of grace and joy. And so, we come to the end of this story, which is actually a reflection of our own lives. The prodigal son is each one of us at some point in our journey. We have all strayed, taken wrong paths, and found ourselves lost, not knowing how to get back. But the beauty of this story lies precisely in the certainty that it's never too late to return. It doesn't matter how far you've gone or how lost you feel right now. God is always there with open arms, waiting for you, ready to embrace you, forgive you, and give you a new chance. He doesn't hold grudges. He doesn't ask questions. He simply celebrates your return with joy, because to Him, you always were and always will be precious. So if today you feel lost, aimless, remember, the way back is always within your reach. Just take the first step, trust, and let God's unconditional love guide you back home. And when you do, know that a great celebration awaits you, because every return is a new beginning full of hope, grace, and love. Thank you for being with me until the end. May this message touch your heart and remind you that no matter what happens, you are never alone. God will always be there, waiting to welcome you back. Stay in peace, and until next time, I invite you to click on this video that's appearing on the screen now. You'll like it. God bless.